Good afternoon. This is All India Radio and I'm Tanvi Taneja with the Midday News. The headlines. Centre moves Supreme Court seeking its permission to return 67 acres of acquired land around disputed Ram Janambhoomi Babri Masjid site in Ayodhya to its original owners. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asks students to stay focused, manage their time well and not to succumb to stress. Former Defence Minister and anti-emergency crusader George Fernandes passes away. 11 political parties from the northeast decide to oppose the Citizenship Amendment Bill. China's top negotiator arrives in Washington for trade talks with the United States. And in cricket, Indian women's team defeat New Zealand by 8 wickets in the second ODI, take an unassailable 2-0 lead in the 3-match series. The centre today moved the Supreme Court seeking its permission to return the 67 acres of acquired land around the disputed Ram Janambhoomi Babri Masjid site in Ayodhya to its original owners. The centre had acquired 67 acres of land around the 2.77 acres of the disputed Ram Janambhoomi Babri Masjid site. The plea has said that the Ram Janambhoomi Nyas, a trust to promote construction of Ram Temple, had sought return of the acquired excess land to its original owners. Earlier, the Apex Court had ordered that the status quo be maintained with regard to the acquired 67 acres of land around the disputed site. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asked students to stay focused, manage their time well and not to succumb to stress. He was interacting with 2,000 students, parents and teachers from all over the country as well as students from abroad in the second edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha in New Delhi. The interaction comes ahead of the examination season in the country. The Prime Minister said students should focus on acquiring knowledge to enrich their lives without worrying about examination results.
क्या ये परीक्षा जिंदगी की परीक्षा है क्या कि उस क्लास की परीक्षा है? अगर एक बार मन में तय करें कि भाई ये एग्जाम 10वीं कक्षा की है, ये एग्जाम 12वीं कक्षा की है, ये मेरी जिंदगी की कसौटी नहीं है, अगर इतना से हम सोच लें तो हमारा जो भार है, बोझ है, वो भी कम हो जाएगा और शायद उस एक काम के लिए हमारा फोकस बढ़ जाएगा.
Mr. Modi said life is about dealing with challenges resolutely. He also advised students to listen to their parents' counsel with full attention to avoid confrontation. Mr. Modi cautioned parents against imposing their will on their children, but to encourage them in their own pursuits. He requested the parents not to fulfill their unfulfilled dreams through their children.
मेरी अभिभावकों से भी आग्रह है कि कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है कि आपने बचपन में सोचा था डॉक्टर बनना है, अब क्लर्क बन गए, वो सारी सजा बच्चों पर दे रहे हो. वो माँ बाप विफल है जो अपने जीवन की अधूरी चीजें अपने बच्चों पर थोप करके उनसे करवाने की कोशिश करते हैं.
The Prime Minister said children should convince their parents in choosing their own path based on inherent talent and field of interest. He said clarity of thought and conviction need to be developed. The Prime Minister made a clarion call for developing interest in mathematics and science as very few people choose these subjects for study. Replying to a student's question, the Prime Minister urged students not to succumb to pressure as exam-related stress makes matters worse. On a query by a mother from Assam about mobile phone addiction among children, Mr. Modi suggested that technology must be leveraged to enhance one's capabilities.
आप उसको धीरे-धीरे टेक्नोलॉजी के सही उपयोग की तरफ ले जाइए और उसको लगना चाहिए कि वो बच्चा गलत रास्ते पर जाने से बजाय, समय बर्बाद करने के बजाय, खुद ही एक खेलकूद के अंदर रहने के बजाय, और मैं समझता हूं जुरा प्ले स्टेशन से प्ले फील्ड में चला जाएगा वो, तो उस दिशा में हम सब प्रयास करें.
Speaking at the program, Human Resource and Development Minister Prakash Javadekar said the participants from abroad include students from countries including Iran, Nepal, Doha, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Singapore. The News Services Division of All India Radio will broadcast a special bilingual discussion on Pariksha Pe Charcha. Tune in to the FM Gold channel from 9:30 p.m. to listen to this special program. The program will also be available on our website, newsonair.nic.in. You can share your feedback about the program at our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts. Former Defence Minister and anti-emergency crusader George Fernandes passed away in New Delhi this morning. He was 88. Mr. Fernandes, who hailed from Bengaluru in Karnataka, was ailing for a long time. One of the most prominent leaders of the socialist movement in the 1970s, George Fernandes was a senior Janata Dal leader before he founded the Samta Party. He was elected to the Lok Sabha 9 times and once to the Rajya Sabha. He also served as Union Minister for Railways, Communications and Industry. George Fernandes was also a trade unionist, agriculturist and journalist. As president of the All India Railway Men's Federation, he led the railway strike involving 1.5 million workers in 1974, resulting in thousands being sent to jail. It was one of the events that led to the imposition of emergency in June 1975. Fernandes went underground during the emergency while challenging the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi for imposing a state of emergency. In 1976, he was arrested and tried in the infamous Baroda dynamite case. President Ram Nath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have expressed grief on the passing away of George Fernandes. In a tweet, Mr. Kovind said, George Fernandes was a champion of democracy during the emergency and beyond. He said, the nation will miss him. Mr. Naidu said, George Fernandes was a fighter for the working class, a trade unionist, an upright politician, an able administrator, a great parliamentarian, and above all, he was a good human being. Mr. Modi said, George Sahab represented the best of India's political leadership. He said, the simplicity and humility of the great leader were noteworthy. The last rites of George Fernandes will be performed tomorrow after his son arrives from abroad. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts. You can also log on to our website newsonair.nic.in. 11 political parties of the Northeast have decided to oppose the Citizenship Amendment Bill. Talking to media in Guwahati, Chief Ministers of Meghalaya, Conrad K. Sangma, and Mizoram's Chief Minister Zoramthanga said that 11 parties resolved to jointly oppose the bill. Both the leaders said that a delegation would meet the President and then the Prime Minister to convey their concerns. 11 parties have met today in Guwahati to oppose the Citizenship Amendment Bill. The parties at the meeting today include Assam Gana Parishad, National People's Party, Mizo National Front and others. Mr. Sangma said that today's meeting was not politically motivated, but a natural process to stand against the bill. Mr. Sangma has also sought support from all the like-minded parties and people against the Citizenship Amendment Bill. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed gratitude to the people of Assam for the strong support extended to BJP in the polls to the 3 tribal autonomous councils in the state. In a tweet, he said, BJP is fully committed towards the development and prosperity of Assam and it will always protect the interests of the state. BJP recently swept the Autonomous Tribal Council polls in the missing Autonomous Council, the Rabba Hosang Autonomous Council and the Sonowal Kachari Autonomous Council. Beating the retreat ceremony, marking the culmination of 4-day-long Republic Day celebrations, will be held at the historic Vijay Chowk in New Delhi today. This year, Indian tunes will be the flavour of Beating the Retreat ceremony.
As many as 27 performances on the historic Vijay Chowk will enthrall the spectators with captivating and foot-tapping music of the bands from the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the State Police and the Central Armed Police Force. Out of the 27 performances, 19 tunes have been composed by Indian musicians. This year, 15 military bands, 15 pipes and drums bands from regimental centres and battalions are participating. The event will come to a close with ever-popular tune of Sare Jahan Se Acha. Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
In Rajasthan, swine flu has claimed 75 lives in the last 28 days. 55 new persons tested positive for swine flu and 2 persons died in the last 24 hours. Our correspondent reports that the government has taken several steps to curb the disease. A report.
With the starting of New Year, swine flu cases are being reported in large number every day. More than 1900 cases have been found positive so far and claimed 75 lives in just 28 days. Jaipur, Jodhpur and Kota are most affected districts. State government has approved ₹5 crore to 5 more medical colleges for launching swine flu testing facilities. Health department also appointed nodal officers for each district to monitor the screening and treatment work. Health teams will conduct screening and at railway stations and bus stands for influenza-like illness. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
A Pakistani delegation is inspecting the dam site of Pakul Dul hydroelectric project at Drang Doru on Chenab River in Kishtawar, Jammu and Kashmir. Officials said Pakistan's Indus Commissioner Syed Muhammad Meher Ali Shah, along with other delegates, arrived in Kishtawar late last evening. The Pakistan delegation is being accompanied by Indian Commissioner for Indus Waters, P.K. Saxena, and other senior officials. The delegation will inspect Lower Kalnai, Ratal, and Bagli Har hydroelectric projects tomorrow. China's top trade negotiator has reached Washington as the world's top 2 economies prepare for crucial trade talks. Chinese delegation led by Vice Premier Liu He is expected to meet U.S. President Donald Trump at the end of the 2-day talks. The talks are slated to begin tomorrow. The discussions in Washington will be the first face-to-face cabinet-level discussions with China since a Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping in December last year struck a 3-month-long truce in their trade war. If no deal is reached by 2nd of March, tariffs on $200 billion of Chinese imports are set to increase from 10% to 25%. Prasar Bharati CEO Shashi Shekhar Vempate had urged All India Radio to provide maximum content on social media. He appreciated the great collection of valuable and exclusive content of AIR Mumbai and said that the treasure should be available for all the listeners through social media. In cricket, Indian women's team beat New Zealand by 8 wickets in the second ODI at Mount Maunganui. Chasing a victory target of 162 set by New Zealand women team, the visitors took just 35.2 overs to reach the target. India have now taken an unassailable 2-0 lead in the 3-match series. India had won the opening game by 9 wickets. And in business news, the Sensex and the Nifty today fell for the 3rd session in a row in afternoon trade due to weakness in global equities amid fresh concerns over US-China trade talks. The Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange had lost 205 points to trade at 35,451 a short while ago. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange was also down 60 points to 10,601. And the rupee at the forex market was trading flat at 71 rupees and 9 paise against the US dollar in afternoon deals. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Centre moves Supreme Court seeking its permission to return 67 acres of acquired land around disputed Ram Janambhoomi Babri Masjid site in Ayodhya to its original owners. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asks students to stay focused, manage their time well and not to succumb to stress. Former Defence Minister and anti-emergency crusader George Fernandes passes away. 11 political parties from the Northeast decide to oppose the Citizenship Amendment Bill. China's top negotiator arrives in Washington for trade talks with the United States. And in cricket, Indian women's team defeat New Zealand by 8 wickets in the second ODI, take an unassailable 2-0 lead in the 3-match series. And with that, we end the Midday News.